grace. There's a moment of grace for you this morning. There's a moment of grace that enables you and I to be reconciled to the one that we call God. There's a moment of grace that enables us to find healing in our lives. There's a moment of grace where we can be reconciled to the community that perhaps we have been separated from, or that community has separated itself from us. I know for many, many folks who are first-time visitors, this is the first time that they've been in church for a long time. I spoke to somebody yesterday as I was walking on Franklin Avenue towards Vermont, somebody from our own congregation. You know, sometimes I often wonder what they think as they're walking towards and I'm walking in the other direction. It's like, is there a turning I can get down quickly before pastor comes along? But as we came face to face and we spoke, and he just for 15 minutes we spoke. And he said, you know, Pastor, he said, coming back to church is the first time I've been back in a church for 17 years. 17 years. I can't imagine not being part of a community of faith for 17 years. But he said to me, he said, coming back was a moment of grace in his own life. It was an opportunity to be reconciled from the church, the institution, the organization that had rejected him. And it took him that long to find the love of God in his life one more time, and just to have that bravery, that courage to walk back into a church and to find a moment of grace. What's your moment of grace this morning? What is it that you come to Jesus to seek? I'm sure none of us are here seeking curing of leprosy. But some of us, I'm sure, are coming being cured of a heavy heart. I'm sure some of us are coming hoping that we might be able to find self-esteem again. I'm sure that some of us are coming to find out whether church can really be a good place. I'm sure some of us are coming to be reconciled, perhaps let go of something that's been going on in our lives. Perhaps some of us are here because on New Year's Day we made a decision to work out our spirituality and to deepen that spirituality in this coming year. That's a moment of grace for us. It's a moment for us now. As we come into this church, as we find Jesus Christ in the folks who are around us, and as we remind ourselves that if Jesus can be in the folks that are around us, then Jesus can certainly be in me. It takes a big decision to acknowledge that Jesus can really be in our lives. A moment of grace. When the leper had been healed, Jesus warned him not to go and tell anyone because his mission was not yet done. But that moment of grace so overwhelmed him that he couldn't stop telling people that once he was unclean and now he was clean. Is that our experience? Are we so overwhelmed by the power and the grace of Jesus Christ in our lives that we can't stop talking about Jesus? We can't stop talking about the one who has transformed our lives, the one who has made a difference, the one who has welcomed us home, the one who has made you and me feel welcomed in the household of God. Only you can answer that question. I can answer it for myself. And I'll be honest, there are times when I want to talk about Jesus, and there are times when it's more difficult to talk about Jesus. But I have found over and over again in the community that we serve, people are hungry to hear about the Jesus that we know, the Jesus that we believe in, the Jesus who welcomes you and who welcomes me. And in those conversations, the folks that I get to talk to have found a moment of grace for themselves. Could this be true? Could it really be that Jesus would welcome me? I want to encourage you and bless you this morning. I want to encourage you to talk about your faith and to talk about your experience of the Jesus that you meet in this place week in and week out. I want you to experience not only the moment of grace for yourself, but to be a vessel through which a moment of grace can reach other people, can touch other people's lives. Not in this necessarily that fanatical way, you know, the way where you have to have the big Bible underneath your arm and carry it around and bang people over the head with it because you've never read it yourself. I found that so often with my evangelical friends. They carry big Bibles, but they've never read it.
All right.
Or if they have, they've misinterpreted it.
All right.
So I don't think that that's the kind of story that people are looking for today.
That's right.
I think people are looking for the story of our own lives. The story when Jesus touched us and changed our lives. The moment when we encountered the real presence of Christ. And that Christ said, "You're okay. You are my child." So I encourage you this morning to feel this moment of grace, this moment of blessing as we sit in this church this morning. And then whatever you do after this morning, help others to know that moment of grace for themselves. Our community is hungry for this moment of grace. May the God who healed the leper that day be the same God who is with us this morning, who touches us, who heals us, and who enables us to become the very best that we can be. May the blessing of that God be with us now and evermore. Amen.